Hello and welcome back to the Chicken Pen. If you're a subscriber to our channel, you know that I normally publish lots of videos on caring for your chickens, breeding from your chickens and general healthcare. Today I'm going to do something slightly different, but it is on the theme of healthcare. So join me for the story of Frankie. Hi, my name's Fiona. This is a tale of Frankie. Frankie was hatched back in May 2019 and had a freak accident on day 4 of her life, which resulted in quite a major injury. We had a lot of decisions to make about our life. We are smallholders after all, so all of our chickens need to have a purpose. They need to either provide eggs for us, they need to be either sold for point of lay, become meat for the table, or breed the next generation of chickens for the following year. With Frankie's injury, we didn't know how she would cope, or even if she would survive. So today I'm going to tell you about all the decisions we made, encourage you not to rush to judgment, and show you where she is now and how well she's actually done. This is where Frankie's journey began. She was hatched on the 7th of May 2019 and was part of a healthy clutch of 11. At this stage, all of the chicks were nameless, as there was no way we could differentiate between each of them. Ginger, their brood mother, was doing an amazing job nurturing them, teaching them when to eat and what to eat, as well as keeping them warm and dry. The chicks enjoyed a free-range lifestyle and mingled with the rest of our flock in the field. On the 11th of May, 4 days after they hatched, we noticed something didn't look quite right with one of the chicks. It appeared to have an issue with its head. The chick was behaving normally, chasing the broody hen and keeping up with its siblings, so we decided instead of catching it, which might distress it, we would film the brood so we could zoom in and have a closer look. What we found gave us a shock. I've circled the chick so that you can identify her. She appeared to be missing a large amount of skin on one side of her head. What was more concerning was that the shape of the chick's head appeared to have changed, the other side of her head appearing to have flattened. Of course, we decided to intervene at that stage and give the chick a full examination, and it became clear that a freak accident had occurred. Ginger, her brood mother, had accidentally stood on her head, partially crushing her skull and removing some of the skin. Crushing injuries aren't uncommon with young chicks being raised with a brood hen because of the sheer differences in scale, but this was a freak accident. Normally a crush like this would result in the fatality for the chick, but here the chick seemed to be absolutely okay despite her injuries. At this stage we were extremely concerned about Frankie's welfare. We wanted to make sure that she wasn't suffering. Although we are smallholders and all of our chickens have a purpose, we do care very, very deeply for the animals in our care. So we kept a watchful eye, we took lots of footage and we watched how she behaved. We made sure she was keeping up with the other chickens, we made sure she was eating, we made sure she was drinking, but we were still concerned that she might be suffering. Now, chickens can be quite brutal. If they sense suffering within the flock, they will do their best to keep the flock strong, so they can attack those chickens which are weak or ill, and that didn't seem to be happening in this case. We did take advice from a friend of ours who's a vet and asked, what would you do in these circumstances? Would you end her suffering? And the response was, is she suffering? And we had to say, we actually didn't believe so from the behaviours and the footage that we were taking and the health inspections we were doing when the chickens were roosting at night. So we decided to keep going, but keep a watchful eye on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we did. The next sequence was taken when the chicks were 2 weeks old. Again, I've circled Frankie so that you can follow her, or at least try to follow her, as she chases around with her siblings. At this stage, my wonderful husband has nicknamed the chick Frankenhen in homage to the Mary Shelley classic Frankenstein. The name stuck, and she's now affectionately called Frankie. Did you follow her? She's circled here to help you. At 6 weeks, the differences are far less apparent, particularly when the chickens are sat very still. I challenge you to pick her out in this little video of them sat on the chairs in the chicken enclosure. If you guessed she's the chick sat on the bottom rung of the chair on the right hand side, you'd be right. That's Frankie. At 3 months, Frankie's injuries were becoming less apparent where she'd originally lost the skin. New skin had grown over the area and adult feathers covered the bald patch. This picture was taken at 4 months and shows the other side of her head where her skull had been crushed. She has a slightly droopy look, but nothing that stands out particularly. The next sequence was taken at 7 months old, when it's only when Frankie is soaking wet from the rain that the differences are very apparent. Here I've circled her head where her lopsided skull is still noticeable. If you follow her through this slow motion sequence, you'll see her other long-lasting physical scars. I've circled the bald patch where new skin has grown but feathers will never grow. The second thing to notice is her eye. The lids around her eye are slightly broken, and this has stayed with her in life so far. In this sequence, I've ringed Frankie again so you can easily identify her. I'd like you to watch how she runs. I have filmed it in slow motion so you can see that she runs in a slightly lopsided way. She seems to favour one side more than the other, and this is probably because she's got some neurological damage as well as the physical scars that you can see from that freak accident when she was a chick. In late 2019, Frankie started to earn her keep and started to lay eggs. So that was wonderful for us. She was earning her keep within the flock. What really surprised us was in spring 2020, she started showing signs of being broody. And that raised lots of questions of its own. This pattern of constant clucking and fluffing the feathers out to appear as large as possible is typical of a broody hen. Our fears for Frankie as a broody were around whether her head injury would distort the broody instinct and she would display the pattern but would either not sit on the eggs or would attack any chicks that hatch. After a lot of discussion, we decided that the injury was physical and not genetic. It's the genetic predisposition to broody behaviour, good and bad, that we've seen as the dominant factor in the past. Yes, this particular physical injury is a little unknown to us, but we wanted to at least let Frankie have the opportunity to try and brood. She continued to give us signs that she was ready as a broody hen, such as this behaviour in the nest box, which we call eagle chicken. There you go, Frankie. That was a good girl. Hey. Our fears proved to be unfounded. You can see here that Frankie is brooding perfectly on her nest. She sits quietly until she needs to get up and turn her eggs. Turning the eggs prevents the chick, which is growing inside, from sticking to the walls. This means it can manoeuvre around the inside of the egg around the time of hatching, so it's such an important process. All of our fears were proven incorrect when Frankie successfully hatched a number of chicks and became a conscientious and nurturing brood mother. We were so happy that we gave her a chance, despite the odds being against her. Well, that's the story of Frankie, and I hope you found that interesting. If you have liked the content, take a moment to give me a thumbs up below. If you're not a subscriber, take a moment to subscribe now and hit the notifications icon, and you hear of any new videos as soon as they're published. If you've got a question for me, post it in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.